This animation is ridiculous. My jaw's on the floor. If you don't know what we're talking about Cosmic Garou versus Saitama, the fan animation from... Who is it? Boom, right there. This video is doing numbers. Of course, it's not from me. I'm lazily reacting to them. But we got Omaru Animation as well as all these people. Smiley, Not L, Paul Owen, Seikatsu, Yingre, right? They all came together to deliver this fan animation for an endgame fight, Saitama versus Garou, and I thought it was a visual spectacle. All the animators and the people that worked in showing their love and support, go show them the love and support back. And surely in a moment where we're all happy and celebrating One Punch Man when we just came out of the dog shit season, everything should be good. No! Twitter gotta find a reason to be mad. What are we mad about? Let's figure this out. We got a tweet coming from Chromafire. Let's read it. While the animation is very skillful, it lacks an action direction. The idea here seems to be spamming impact frames every now and then without any sense of pacing and overall scene construction. Ooh. Chromafire coming in here, just getting to the nitty gritty. And you know what? Is he wrong? Is he wrong? What do people think about this? Million views impression. And honestly, with that kind of engagement, I don't think he's even getting cooked that hard either. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fucking quote retweets. We're gonna check that out. But a post like this, getting this kind of replies, this kind of engagement, I think tells me that a lot of people understand where Chromafire is coming from. It's from a place of love and passion, where as an animation enthusiast, he's providing input of how this could be better because the fan animators are that great, that it deserves that criticism and that it can be even better. When I was watching the fan animation yesterday, not gonna lie, I was kind of like discombobulated in like a good way, because every single thing that I'm seeing is an insane just highlight reel of just animation techniques being spammed left, right, and center. Impact, smearing, boom, special effect, crazy fucking camera work. And it felt like, okay, here's an analogy. When watching, like, let's say One Punch Man Season 1, right? One Punch Man Season 1 Kaka TV finale, right? Just giving any other just like anime, right? When watching like these, like Saitama versus Boros, right? It is also a visual spectacle, but because there are professionals who are working on this, who provide, let's say, proper storyboarding and action directing, it feels like this. It's like, how do I draw it? I'm just trying to give you any sort of like graphical representation of how I feel like. It's like a visual representation. It's kind of like this. If there is a graph of, I don't know, like time versus like Sakuga, whatever this means to you, right? Just like crazy fucking animation happening. When I'm watching some scenes, it's like building up, boom, and then boom, building up, boom, stuff like that, you know? It's like things are being set up and then it pops the fuck off, crazy impact frames, flashy as fuck, and then we have some time to breathe and hold, and the tempo changes, the cadence is there to make sure we can appreciate these peaks. With the fan animation, it's like this is how I feel as an amateur watching this. I have no understanding of production value at a greater level. I'm trying to understand more and more, but that's my overall gut instinct, where the level of animation quality, just the highlight reels, it is just a fucking orgasmic visual masterpiece. Yet, in terms of like industry professional standards, what Chromafire is trying to say is that rather than spamming it, try to make these moments more appreciative. Rather, like if you're alting all the time, then it's no longer an alt, right? It's kind of the overall sentiment going on. Action isn't just mindless flashy stuff. Action tells a story, and for that, you need to be a competent action director or at least have an understanding of visual storytelling. And for people that don't understand like what this may even mean, for example, when you hear storyboarding or direction, like, do you guys know what that actually means? Do I even know what that means? I'm going to try to explain to you as like an amateur. Like, here's a manga panel, right? Here's a page of Saitama and Garou. Garou's reaching over to Saitama's shoulder and gonna say, I'm gonna punch you. And then next up, what do you see? Saitama hitting it. That's how the manga works. With really shitty storyboarding and direction and a lack of time and resources, you know what happens? this just becomes a one-to-one to the anime. They will literally show you PowerPoint presentation colored in frames of this, and then it'll literally just cut to that immediately. But an anime is different. An anime needs to connect these panels and deliver animation. And for that, you need a visual understanding of how the things are going to flow. Garou's leeching over. How is Saitama going to react? Is there going to be a different camera work? Are they going to present like the camera POV in such a way that it's going up to down, down to up? How is Saitama going to react? Is there going to be impact frames happening? And all these different things in construction creates this overall template draft known as like a storyboard to have like something to work with. Rather than jumping from one frame to frame, having like this visual draft of makeup of how things should flow. I think that's my understanding of storyboarding. And to an extent, direction. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of my base understanding, right? Again, doing more than just fucking one-to-one animations. Think about how these scenes are going to connect. And with proper talent, it can be manifested in many different ways, right? But people are going to come in here and say, don't care, it was fun to watch. And you know what? It was fun to watch. But people are coming in here thinking Chroma Fire is an asshole. Because it feels like unnecessary, right? Because I think it's especially sensitive right now. Right? You got to think about it like this. One Punch Man just had a crazy fucking drama nuclear fallout with it being so fucking trash, with content creators also dragging the drama, myself included. Now you have something so peak coming out, yet it's criticism being labeled onto it. People are going to be very salty about it because they think they're nitpicking. And you know what? It is fun to watch. No. I do believe it's fun to watch, but like this comes off very pretentious. I think it's very reductive. Like solo leveling. There's some other ones, hold up. I don't know why people are so mad at you just because you share your opinion about what you observed, which could literally make them reflect and help them on their future works. It's not that deep. But on the land of Twitter, what happens is people arguing over each other. Rather than try to understand where Chroma Fire is coming from and trying to understand, like it's kind of like this. You say, I like pancakes. And someone else will come in and say, why do you hate waffles? Chroma Fire here isn't saying this animation is bad. He's saying that like it's very skillful, but I think there could be more to be done. Then people will take that and say, this is such unnecessary nitpicking and hostile to the fan animators. I can't believe you would do that. And then more drama spins off of that, especially with people that may even hate Chroma Fire due to the drama in the past as well. You know, it's like there's like a, you got to realize there's more to this kind of drama than what you see. It's like the historical precedence being set up too. I think I was supposedly mindless glaze because it's cool and it's a fan animation lol. No, leave that to people like me and Nicholas Slight. That's what lazy reactors are for. I already said that whether it's a fan project or not, my view on the animation as a whole won't change, right? Like solo leveling. Ooh, let's think about this. So, do you think solo leveling is an example of what Chroma Fire is saying? No. Because to say that solo leveling is under the same scrutiny with this means that you think that Kano, the person who basically carried the solo leveling action scenes, doesn't know what they're doing. No. I think what they're trying to say is solo leveling has no story, right? They ignorantly basically don't want to recognize the themes in the story in solo leveling. They reduce it down to Unga Bunga action. But then they fail to understand what we're even talking about. What we're talking about is not the story. We're talking about how these amazing animation techniques are being spammed rather than carefully utilized with intent, right? So again, just retards completely misunderstanding what's going on here. Solo leveling is the last anime I think you would want to criticize regarding action direction. 26K, what the fuck? It's popping off. I think that the biggest difference between a bad animator and a decent animator, if their idea of action is spamming flashes with no clear visual direction outside a couple of flashy kicks and punches, and they're a bad animator. Ooh. And you know what? This is something that I can relate to. Especially in stuff that I did in the past that I'm not very good at. For example, like I was a coder, right? I was a professional software engineer before, you know, I quit my day job to do content creation. I was not a very good programmer. I could grind and I could basically learn how to do a couple of things. I can memorize algorithms and data structures and try to come up with solutions to optimize whatever. This is the equivalent of learning how to do impact frames. This is the equivalent of how to execute these flashy stuff. But what takes a real talent is being able to like freestyle. Rather than having rote memorization, just memorizing solutions, when you see something new, can you innovate? Can you look at something and already abstract in your mind, visualize how it's gonna be? As a software engineer, I could never do that. I was a simple code monkey. All I could do was fucking code as I was told. I could never create visions in my own head and come up with complex systems. And then apply that concept here, right? The rote memorizer, the code monkey, is a person that knows how to spam impact frames. They've practiced a lot. But what then takes that talent to the next level, greatness, right, is your core understanding of how are these scenes gonna flow out? When am I gonna use these important animation techniques, right? And how am I gonna make them really special? That's something that I definitely understood I was missing in my professional field. And I kind of understand where this is coming from, right? That like a true animator, a true like genius talent, they're able to think in abstract ways and create these storyboards and able to provide direction through these storyboards, right? And deliver something that is just mind-blowing. They're skilled, but they're either just having fun doing whatever they want, or they lack actual ideas to construct a readable, coherent action scene. I won't jump any conclusions because I don't need to. You still need insane skills to be developed such flashy animation. Yeah, I think again, right, that these people are absolutely capable of delivering great animation. And I think as a fan project, I think they also said that their intent wasn't to, you know, create amazing storyboards. Their goal was to just go all out and have fun with it. And those are some of the other tweets that we're going to see later on. That's my overall just feelings regarding this so far. Real, the animation is amazing, but I just can't get into it. Probably because the direction is kind of slacking, right? Even if it's shown at the same tempo and the energy all in a rush, without time to take in or any breathing room, it just washes over you and flows right by. Yeah, I think that's a lot of issues that even people watching Vincent Chancer's cut, for example, regarding ReZero. Remember that? ReZero Garfield versus Kurgan. It is an amazing scene, but sometimes things happen so fucking much and fast that like you're unable to keep up. I think that I'm not comparing Vincent Chancer to this like level of storyboarding, by the way. I'm just giving you another example where there are cases where things are so flashy that it's hard to keep up with and it becomes kind of incoherent. I get what you're coming from. Some people really enjoy that shit too, right? And now we have the quote retweets. Oh, they're gonna be eating him up. Hold up. Let's see if I sort by latest likes. Is there anything else? I just want to use some hate comments. Is there any crazy hate comments? No, it's pretty much the same thing that we've already read. Oh, here's one. Not really hate. JC Animate. JC Staff confirmed? Oh my God, we got a JC Staffer. No, it's not. This is a project made by fans. This is an anime production. What I see here, this is highly impressive action featuring background animation, impressive anime effects, and some character acting in some parts. Sure, it doesn't have the main vision, but hey, they did what they could. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. And Chroma Fire isn't saying like, oh, this is, you know, this is like disrespectful. No, he's saying like, that's great. It's just missing some elements that he wished that could be there too to enhance the product. If your work is being criticized and treated like that or paid into industrial animator, you've made it out there. Do not give up. This is, I think, a positive way to look at it, right? Like criticism doesn't mean that like it's bad. Criticism is there to actually try to help it be better. Like, you know, during One Punch Man season 3, how bad the anime was? And these so-called criticizers of anime, the height of their criticism is just saying it's fucking trash. It's trash. Notice how Chroma Fire actually provided actual context of what could be better. This is called constructive criticism. When you don't have actual like understanding of what you're seeing and you can't provide details, you're kind of just like hating, you know? So at least he tries to put up what could be better. I hate you, Twitter nerds. Simply a contender for the worst post of the year. Nah, that's crazy. Nah. This ain't even top 10. This ain't even top 10. You want to see worst post of the year? Look at my Twitter profile. It's a fucking highlight reel of worst post of the year. To me, this is envy or something like that. What an unnecessary comment. All my support to whoever made the animation, which is having fun. And again, kind of like arguing past each other, you have to assume the absolute worst of Chroma Fire to assume that this is true. Do you think Chroma Fire is doing this to be an anime elitist? To flex his animation skills? You know what? Not gonna lie. I think Chroma Fire knew what he was doing, right? I think he knew what he was doing, providing his input, rather than blindly glazing, to actually go and, against the flow, to call out the parts that could have improvements. I think that it could come from a great place of heart because of his love and passion for animation. And he sees something that's worthy, talent that deserves criticism to be better. Or do you think he's being a Sakuga elitist, flexing his knowledge about animation, taking an opportunity of a viral moment and kind of reveling in the controversy? That's something we'll never know. Again, right, in the online, you never know with people, right? These are just, again, things. Do you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, or do you want to just assume the absolute worst of him? Every single tweet about this animation are just fake intellectuals stringing words together like they're some superior being to drive home points with no substance behind them at all. Which is funny because that's your entire tweet here. This is like such a reflection, you know? This entire tweet is just word vomit of just thesaurus spamming to say that like it's nonsense. What Chromefire actually did was provide exactly the parameters that could be improved. He says, don't spam the impact frames. Allow some time to revel in these amazing moments. Have a storyboard and action direction that can make these special moments be even more special. This is not unnecessary blabbering. This is not buzzword spamming. These are specific things and variables and criteria he's mentioning that could be, you know, dialed differently to provide a better experience, right? I agree with this, but I can't read this without seeing this fucker in my head. It's a very smug look here. Mid-leveling fans are talking. The soul leveling hate, I love it. True, I especially like the direction in the animated scene. Has to have the most season 1 vibes I've ever seen in fan animation. Someone read the manga. This is exactly what we expected. Saitama spamming punches and each punch having an impact frame. Yes, that works here beautifully. And there's just more speed. The idea here is speed. Oh, Mastar coming in here. Okay. It worked. Not everything has to be criticized, especially fan-made passion project which they made for free. These boys should be celebrated for this. I agree. I agree that they should be celebrated. Should they be criticized? If you say something is not worth criticizing, doesn't that mean that like you're kind of giving it away? That like, oh, you're not worth being criticized? That's some of the talking points I've been seeing recently, which is very interesting. I never thought of it like that. I think they should be praised and criticized. It only helps them get better at what they do. They'll get much better through practice, experience, and study. The criticism doesn't do much. But here's the thing, right? If they can just practice this, what are they practicing though, right? The criticism allows you to understand the parts that you need to work on. To ignore that and to continue polishing up your skills as an animator will not really solve this problem where there is no intent behind the animation. You know what I mean? So again, I think a lot of people are just kind of arguing past each other, just kind of upset that there is some negativity and backlash against the fan-made project, which comes from a place of passion. But again, it's a very sensitive topic right now. And this for the reason is why people say action is separate from writing. Because most people think of fights as only something that appeals to the eyes and not something that also tells a meaningful story. I think it's just kind of talking about like the Unga Bungas who enjoy like the action sequences. Let's see some of the other teams. What is this? In a proper anime production, an animator's layouts have to go through 2 key animators, in-betweeners, action directors, and I don't know which one. Chief animation director phase, and for the sake of consistency and overall workload of the long project, movements that might get reduced. Fan projects aren't bound by this such restrictions. I think he's kind of talking about like why the fan animation is better than anything JC staff has spat out in season 3, right? Some other stuff. Again, this is not saying that the fan animation should follow any of these principles. It's fun without them as it should be. People's perception of flashy animation without any coherent directions being able to replace professional work is what's instigated this tweet. Really? So Unga Bunga Sakuga is replacing real professional talent, or at least as like a precedent being set up, and that's why Chromafire is saying this shit. Okay. I dislike, here comes probably pretentious, another Sakuga enthusiast. I dislike critiquing fan animation because I know firsthand how difficult making stuff without a proper production team is. I think he's doing it right now, right? He's making his own animation stuff. I just wish that artists would prioritize getting someone who's decent at action storyboarding before investing so much time and energy into a project. And I think that, you know, there's people like this. Hot Rod says, good Lord, why are y'all so freaking harsh? It's fan animation. Is it harsh though? I think what Chromafire and Kana, or probably Pretentious, is doing is kind of like assertive, but they're not rude. You know what's rude? I mean, just go look at, you know, the last 3 months of drama videos we've been farming for One Punch Man season 3, right? We don't have to say any more than that. I feel like the overall way that they're presenting the criticism is not harsh. It's lukewarm, you know? It's like they're really holding back. You know, you can, like, they could have just said, this is just out. This is the reason why the animation industry is chopped, right? So, you know what kind of tweet I could have said, right? Like, I could have basically said something like this, right? Unga Bunga fan animators are the reason why the animation industry is cooked. No longer do we, you know, have any coherent storyboarding, I don't know, or direction. Just spamming mindless impact frames to appease to the lowest common denominator. And then I could also say, this is the symptom. This is a symptom, right? This is a byproduct of the COVID tourist that only watch, you know, JJK and Demon Slayer. Congratulations, the anime industry is cooked. This is how people are treating Chroma Fire's tweets. Okay? This is how people are treating Probably Pretentious's tweets. If you want me to rage bait hard, I can do it. I know what's gonna get people upset. Am I gonna post this? I don't know. That's a bit too much. But you can clearly see there is hostile intent here. Bait used to be believable. I'm not gonna click post. We're gonna hold up on that. Maybe I'll do it later, but this is what I want you to realize, right? The way that Chroma Fire and Probably Pretend, like, this guy should be quote retweeting my tweet. This is the most, like, he's straight up saying, I don't want to critique it, but I know it can be better. And I wish that they would have hired professional storyboard. You know what I mean? And then we got actual people coming in that worked on the project saying, our project was focused on letting everyone have creative liberty to animate however we wanted. No storyboard. We just picked our panels and animated. We all worked on it with the idea of it being a cool collab. Not really meant to be some studio quality, we did it for fun. And there it is, right? It's just a group of friends flexing their skills and talent to give us some entertainment when One Punch Man let us down. And of course, people are gonna come in praising it. People are gonna come in criticizing it. It's all from a place of love and passion. To argue amongst our crowd and to be hateful, I think is very reductive. I think a lot of people just don't understand exactly what the overall just like feeling is. And I'm not saying Probably Pretentious or Chroma Fire isn't aware of that. I'm just talking about people like this who just get triggered so fucking easily off of such harmless statements that ultimately wants the good for the show, right? I think this is the same tweet about there. Eva Koi has a very interesting one. So here's an interesting thread, right? Jonathan Simba is coming in saying, are we being dead ass right now? Cry, cry. One Punch Man Season 3 really turned people into professional animation critics. I will agree about that, but not directed at Chroma Fire. I think the amount of retards that came in through One Punch Man Season 3 talking about animation as if they know anything about it is actually insane. The most normie tourist fucking opinions, people that don't even watch anime, people basically a bunch of fucking normies that only watch the top brass, most unga bunga hype battle shit, like the height of One Piece or like Demon Slayer or JJK or Demon, like stuff like that, the best of the best, and they come in here, they see like a 6 out of 10 animation, they call it a fucking 0 out of 10 slob. They don't even know what they're looking at, they're just hating on it. Chroma Fire, you have to at least give the respect that they're sweaty people, right? These are what you would call Sakuga tards. They are not the same as the COVID normies. They are in this shit deep and they're super sweaty to the point they come off pretentious, right? These are not like wannabe professional anime critics. Like basically, these are wannabe professional animation critics, not the retards that showed up from One Punch Man Season 3, okay? This app was filled by Hey Grok and AS Slopbros tweeting nonstop. Then we get an actual peak human art and we're still bringing it down. Nah. Is he bringing it down or is he trying to lift it up? You know what I mean? Bringing it down is this, okay? A tweet like this is bringing it, and you know what? I'm starting to realize I need to be the villain. This world is so retarded that there's such dishonest people saying that this is bringing down the fan animation. You want to see a real villain bring down the fan animation? I will do it. I will show you what actual villain work is like, so you can then realize that the good people engaging in good faith conversations, they are the normal people. Maybe I gotta this, and you know what? I'm the React Messiah, right? And Jesus Christ died for your sins. Maybe I gotta do it. Maybe I have to be the Messiah on a different level. I don't know, man. I gotta be the fucking villain to let them know. This, basically, he's right though, lol. And now we have a professional animator coming in. Evakoi, who has worked on Sentence to Be Hero that we're watching on right now. Like, I actually don't know why you're crashing out. The criticism is pretty respectful, acknowledges good and bad sides because it is an impressive piece of fan animation that lacks smart direction. And it doesn't really trying to bring it down in any way. If you're trying to be a good animator, you always want to get better. You cannot stop learning. I'm in no position to say anything I did is perfect or smart. Art is something that you always want to try to be better at. That's right, you hone in. That's why we're in the golden age of anime right now. Animators' talents are getting better and better. More people are getting involved in animation through fan animations like this, or even like webgen or era of people bringing in talents not through the traditional Japanese work pipeline. It's great, right? And you want to keep getting better. And how is that done? By understanding what constructive criticism is and then heightening your product, right? Art is something that you always try to get better at. Nothing's wrong to say it can be better constructed next time. Chill out. Hey, I'm the one that did all the animation and the clips you see everywhere. And yes, I totally understand you and your opinion towards my cut. I'm also not satisfied myself. I love taking criticism. This is how I grow and strives to for your honest opinion, truly. So this is the thing, right? This is like when you have Mushoku Tensei and ReZero authors celebrating each other's work and their friends behind the scenes, but their fucking retard fan base argues against each other. You have a professional animator that works in the animation industry, and you have the actual fan animator himself coming in, talking and acknowledging about how righteous this is. And then you have a bunch of fucking Karens, right? Not this. And then you have a bunch of fucking Karens. Like, this is the equivalent of the typical liberal white female from North America basically becoming a victim and crying about some other place in the world when they're like happy about it. It's kind of like Venezuela right now. It's a bit more complex than that, right? I acknowledge that like what's happening in Venezuela, the people celebrating there, it might not be their best intent. Like what happened with, I think, the Taliban shit, right? Those, after that shit was quote unquote liberated, the people were happy. And then what happened? Something worse fucking happens. But what I'm trying to give you an example of is, I love it when people that don't even live in that place or even understand their culture or whatever talk as if they're like ambassadors and they're being offended on behalf of them. When those locals are like happy. You know, there's something funny about that concept. And hey, to be honest, I'm not happy this combo was handled like that. I was mostly talking to them, and because they're protecting you, it may seem like I'm against you. My point was not that exact animator needs to listen to criticism, but rather criticism has a right to exist. I do not support anyone who is trying to insult you. And no one was trying to insult. This is an insult. Well, Chroma Fire and Proper Attention is not an insult, okay? And basically more and more and more. It's not criticism if it's not true. What are you trying to say? It is true though. So we have PP Poo Poo 404 coming in here trying to backseat an actual animator. Like, come on now. Come on now. Like, what are we doing here? PP Poo Poo, have some awareness. And right over here, right? Chroma Fire as a final take. This is it. The reason why I criticize and it had an impact frame span because I can clearly see how good they are without it, right? How good they are and they can easily do what I was saying. If it was targeted towards someone who can barely animate, it would have been bad. But these animators are capable, right? And there's this concept like, you know, basically it is worthy of criticism. My overall final take is I am on Chroma Fire's side. I'm on his side because I love the fan animation. I cherish it. I celebrate it. I'm not insulting it. I'm not harassing them. We're not putting the fan animators down by agreeing with this take. I think that the fan animation was amazing. It was a visual orgasm and I had a lot of fun with it. But I can also acknowledge that there is always room for improvement. And to give advice, constructive criticism in such a respectful way and not a hostile way, I think is great ways to lift each other up. right? I think it's just right now things are very sensitive in the state of One Punch Man, and you have a bunch of Sakugatards coming in that are criticizing something when people are glazing. People take that, they're very sensitive, right? And then they basically say these are snobby elitists that have no idea what they're talking about, trying to act better, elitists like that. And for that, you know, there could be an assumption that it could be true. I don't know Chroma Fire like that. Maybe he did have that intent. Maybe he's carefully disguising that snobby elitist attitude with this respectful constructive criticism. But at the end of the day, I care about the outcome. And the outcome is that professional industry animators, as well as the animators themselves, are coming in and basically agreeing. So I'm going to go with what the actual people that worked on and know about anime is going to talk about, rather than give my fucking ignorant opinion. Well, that's pretty much it. I think that this is amazing. Again, go support these creators. I hope to see more shit like this. And fan animation, it wouldn't it be so cool if these fan animators got like jobs, like projects that you can work on in the actual animation industry because of stuff like this. I think we have a great era of talent being cherished and manifested like that, and for the audience to relish and, you know, cherish this shit. Like, it's getting so many views, man. Like, it's fucking great. I'm just glad that like art like this can be celebrated and accepted in a time where art gets compromised due to the bottom line, corporate greed, you know, stuff like that.